Welcome to the Solution of Real Estate podcast, where myself, Phil Sexton, along with
Jeff Seabach,
come together around the microphones on the glass table, and we talk about things in our industry that's impacting us. But at the core of our podcast, the reason why it started is because we're ultimately trying to keep the consumer in front and first. We want to improve the consumer experience in real estate, and that's why we started the podcast in the beginning. And it is just evolved to kind of a newsworthy style of information sharing to get our opinions, and we do it in front of a live studio audience. So our Zoom studio audience today is full of agents and brokers from different companies. We're not siloed into one specific brokerage. We enjoy the conversation cross brokerage. So today we had our schedule. We had our set schedule of what we were going to talk about, and then we all woke up to the news, the big news that CoStar just bought Homes.com.
Right. So I think first, in case we have some newcomers to the podcast that may not understand who CoStar is, can I take that one, or you want to take
Please,
that one?
while you're formulating your thoughts, though, if you're listening to the podcast and you want to be a part of our live studio audience, go to realestateLeopard.com and you can type your phone number in there, and then you'll get a text update whenever we're about to go live on Thursdays at 1:00.
Good deal.
Arizona time. So who's CoStar?
CoStar is a publicly traded real estate technology firm. So what they do, I use some of they've mostly focused for the last 25 years on the commercial side of the business.
Okay.
And they first entered the residential side of the business with apartments.com. So they actually went toe to toe with Zillow in the rental market. Okay. And they actually have, I think they're ahead by 10% in views or listings or something, slightly ahead of Zillow at going after renters and renting houses and advertising, basically
residential renters,
residential renters, okay, advertising those properties for rent. And then also they what is their software called? Is it called CoStar? No.
Yeah, that you are a member of.
I'm a member of CoStar. Yeah, for commercial, they
listings.
Yeah. So what they do is they have a bank of telemarketers that call you when a property's sold. They ask you the details, and they update the largest commercial database in the country. And I think they even go into Canada, and they're even in, I think they go to Australia. They go to a bunch of different countries where they just do commercial. And now they bought Homesnap for 25 million was it in the fall, or was it about 3 months ago, whatever that term was?
Yeah.
So they bought Homesnap for about 25 million. And then this morning, CoStar, who's worth $40 billion.
The market cap.
Yeah. And Zillow's 30 billion, just to give rough terms.
So this is like, you're describing Godzilla and King Kong.
Yes, in the real estate. Well, yeah, except the difference is that Zillow primarily focused on rentals, new homes, and then residential, of course, as we all know that are on the call. And now CoStar is making their announcement, because there was word on the street also that they were going to buy CoreLogic or Black Knight Services. Like, they're obviously, or they made an offer on their company as well. So they're buying the data, and this is the advertising platform, right? So because Andy Florence, who's the CEO of CoStar.
Were you in class with him at Princeton? Was it?
No, I was not. But
me either.
But my brother's best friend was actually at Princeton while he was at Princeton. So I don't know if that counts.
Sure, same. It's like the Kevin Bacon way of knowing him. Yeah,
exactly. So Andy, he said that Zillow was being unethical, and that he would never, ever, ever take leads that are off of our listings and not give them to the agent. So so that's kind of the if anyone has anything to add from the crowd about CoStar, I'd love to hear it. But that's kind of an intro. All right.
Yeah, I want to just comment on your mentioning Andy's comments of Zillow's business model, because Andy, when they bought Homesnap, Andy was interviewed by Brad Inman, I believe, which
Yes.
is Inman.com is a national residential, typically news source, industry news source. And when Brad interviewed Andy, Andy said, you know, I thought about the Zillow business model when I was in college or years ago or before Zillow came out, but I always thought that model was unethical because it was like putting digital yard signs of your competitors on your listings. And that was the basis. That was like the shot across the bow, as you like to say,
Yes,
of the bait of the where they were rolling out, or where Andy was going to position himself as the realtor ally,
yes,
as opposed to the pushback that I think Zillow feels from agents saying that you're took our jobs.
Yeah. So there was kind of like Rich Barton,
Rich Barton, one of the co-founders
like
of
to me,
Zillow.
like when you were talking about that, I could imagine Rich Barton is on the residential love boat. The love boat, like we've been expecting you. Right? Like, no, he was not excited that they're coming into the space. I would have to imagine.
I would have to imagine as well.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. And so that was the big news that broke when 3 months ago.
Because he literally just jumped out and said, you're doing something that I will never do.
That I think is unethical.
Right.
Which is pretty strong statements.
Right.
And it wasn't like an agent that is just blowing on Facebook saying, can you believe what this company is doing? No, it was actually a competitor that's worth 25% more. Is that right? No, 33% more market cap that is saying that. And so when the big dog says that about you, that's
also the bigger difference is CoStar is profitable, right? Their valuation, where Zillow is lost money last year.
Okay.
So they feel that that's going to be a significant impact, as it kind of like you should come with us because we're going to make it, right? Like I think he's really, but he's picking on a big dog out there.
But after they bought Homesnap, the dust kind of settled, right? Like had you seen much CoStar news that had been coming across?
Well, come on, we're real estate agents. We sell houses for a living. How could all that stuff matter to us? Like, yes.
Right. But then today, what do you see? So on yesterday, if you look at the CoStar, if you follow CoStar's press releases, yesterday, April 14th, by the way, today's April 15th. Don't forget to pay your quarterlies, all you independent contractors.
No, I got suspended until May.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't forget to pay your quarterlies. I'm just going to leave that up.
Oh, for
check with your accountant. Check with your accountant. But
for next year,
I'm paying quarterlies today, even though But anyway, yesterday, April 14th, CoStar announces that they acquired Homes.com for a couple of bucks.
156 million, I think it's, or 165 million. I could have
156.
156, yeah.
156
in
million
cash. In cash.
Right. They acquired Homes.com.
We were gonna make an offer, but we decided
actually
ours was gonna be financed.
I wish we had a phone number for Andy, because we could have texted him and said he could have bought cboc.com for a lot less.
Yeah,
but I mean, he chose to go Homes.com.
Okay, good
and that's what today's topic is about: is why Jeff Seabock, if they already bought Homesnap, which had agreements with most of the MLSs, as I understand it, across the country for the data, then why would they purchase Homes.com?
Do we want to ask the studio audience to give it a few shots? Or do you want me to just come out and answer? I mean, I like audience participation.
I know you do.
Okay.
All right, audience. Why is CoStar? Why
Because theoretically, none of us are Andy Florence, and none of us know exactly why. I have a few strong opinions on it, but I'd also like some interaction from the audience out there.
I think like any day I get Jeff Seabock to have a public disclosure like that is a good day. Well done. Well done. All right, what do you guys think? Because nobody knows, but let's speculate. Why is CoStar buying Homes.com? And what I'm going to do is watch for the microphone icon to be unmuted on your Zoom character there. And once I see that it's unmuted, that's your indication that I know you're ready to talk. Karina, do I see, is yours unmuted, Karina? Nope, she's not. All right, Randy, I didn't know if you were going to jump in there. I always appreciate those that keep their video turned on. Good to see you. Good to see you. Nice. We got a wave back.
All right.
Okay. I don't know, Jeff. Why? That's why we're here, to find out.
Okay. So maybe we should talk about some of the theories out there, right? Because, some people are wondering maybe why they didn't buy realtor.com.
I saw that. Yes.
So some people were kind of like, well, if you're gonna, because you have to think that they're
because realtor.com is number 2.
yeah. So if you're talking about visits, because the challenge is Zillow is in visits. Now, of course, the whole idea of the visit is an interesting concept as well, but Zillow is in the 200 plus million visits a year. Okay. Which
a month.
I'm sorry, 200 million visits a month. And homes.com is 5 million visits a month.
Right.
And I think that realtor.com is I think realtors in the 35 to 40 million range of visits per month. So the question is, and the thing is they got enough money. They may also buy realtor.com. We don't know. They could actually buy, because Zillow owns number 2, which is truly a number 3, but because they already own number 2 for visits, because that's in the 40 to 50 million range. I think that when we say 2, it's actually 3, which is realtor.com. And I think Redfin is next. And then it's homes.com for visit, right? I think Redfin's in the 6 to 10 million range.
Okay. All right. So why didn't they buy realtor.com? Why do they need a website?
Well, because they need an advertising platform.
Got it.
Right. So one that comes with agreements is why I think the biggest reason why they went for it, because they don't have a database. They don't, because MLSs are very, I mean, how many MLSs are there? 500 or 600?
Yeah. When we were looking at the homes.com website, it said there's 572 MLS agreements that they had across the country. And I don't know that that's all of them.
Right.
I don't know how many.
Because I mean, to me, they're doing 2 things. One, they're buying relationships with realtors, right? Because HomeSnap had some relationships.
Yeah, HomeSnap appears in one of the articles to talk about how positioned HomeSnap as the mobile technology, whereas homes.com, they were talking more about what seemed to me like the website.
Okay.
So the apps versus the desktop, if you will.
Okay. Do you know then, is there a difference in licensing, whether it's on an app or a website? Is that what you're alluding to?
No, I don't. I'm not alluding to that. I think that I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know the answer to is, or what I'm speculating the answer to, is one of the reasons that CoStar is getting into the residential space the way that they are, I think was started because of what we've talked about before on this podcast. And that's the flurry of lawsuits that have been coming out about transparency and commissions in residential real estate. And CoStar thinking that there may be some significant changes in the data, the listing data, and how it's displayed out there. And they're positioning themselves in a agent-friendly way.
Well, it is clear. I mean, I guess the good news for the agents out there, to me, it's abundantly clear that if you read any of the postings of it, that Andy is siding with the agent, saying, how dare, because his big thing is you're listing your lead.
His comments on this on yesterday's press release was exactly that. He said, we will never leverage your data. We're not going to have competing broker services offered on top of your listings.
Right. What that means is that right now with Zillow,
even Zillow, it's like
okay,
the norm.
IDX.
Yes,
All right,
IDX.
let's pick on IDX.
Even cbuck.com.
I'm not. Yeah, and just to be clear, in case you haven't visited or been in any, I am not a fan of IDX because of the state regulations that agents have now. When I advertise myself on my listing, I have the requirement that I have to put the broker name, which I have no problem putting the broker name in front, the team name and our agent name prominent. I was fined one time 8 or 9 years ago,
and it's stuck.
And they asked me to move it from the left-hand part of the page to the center of the page.
By the Arizona Department of Real Estate.
Department of Real Estate.
Following the rules.
Because I wasn't following the rules. Yet, when whoever made the agreements for the IDX from 2005 to 2010, they said, when other companies market your listings, you can hide it anywhere on the site as long as you say somewhere that it's the listing is from somebody else. And that just sticks in my craw. Right. Like I just don't like that the state requirement says,
but they're on our website. I mean, I see I understand what you're saying. You want when our listing shows up anywhere on the web, even if it's through IDX, you want our name and our brokerage to be big on it.
Well, yeah,
But the reality is we wouldn't use IDX on our site if every listing had a commercial for our competitor.
I commented on a national blog that got a lot of attention. And I said that the people that are at IDX are in competition with me. And the person hosting the blog was like, they're not your competitor. And I'm like, but they wanted my data to put on there to draw the people in. How is that not my competitor? Like, so this agreement of the IDX has created to let the public think that they're not competing. And I still struggle with that.
The good news is you're not the only one that thinks that there's pressure on these IDX agreements.
Well, apparently Andy Florence agrees with, because when Spencer Raskoff, the former CEO of Zillow, came out and said, well, if Zillow's unethical, IDS is unethical. And I was like, I agree, right? Like, okay, like we got it out there. And the reason why we're talking about this is because right now, there's a thing out there called LEAP, LEAP, where the MLSs are redoing or trying to, or all of this is coming under discussion. It's kind of funny that this CoStar happens to come in right when the rediscussion of this is, I don't know, burrowing up or what, like the heat. Yeah. I can feel the heat in the industry. And the reason we're having this conversation today is because the agents are still, like, don't get me wrong, the market out there is a good market to make money and everybody's got their heads down, but this is the formation that's going to control the next 5 or 10 years. It's why we came out with Real Estate Leopard is we need more voice and we don't have a voice. And if you can't tell, I'm pumped up about it. Let's get some comments from the audience.
All right. I got one more. Actually, while we wait to see if anybody want to add a comment at this point. I think what CoStar buying homes.com, because like you said, somebody else said, well, why not? Actually, Rob Hahn even said, why didn't they buy realtor.com? And I think because CoStar isn't only focused on realtors, right? They could potentially, because people are searching for homes, first of all.
Well, okay.
Right?
Homes.com makes a lot of sense that they're after the consumer.
People are searching for homes more than people are searching for realtors.
Which is my whole argument overall, and where the inversion, go ahead.
But also realtor.com, then I think supports NAR because that's their brand, Realtor. And I'm not sure that Andy is interested in, Andy doesn't care does he care if NAR is?
Well, I would say lots of his customers are a part of NAR.
No question. But do you think he's only going to offer his services to NAR members, or do you think his services will also be offered to non-NAR
Well, I believe
members?
that would the word be agnostic to
membership?
Yes.
Maybe.
Because I agree with you. I don't think that he's just saying, if you have a home, if you're a real estate agent and you want to advertise your house, come here. No, I think he's looking for the broadest, smart guy in the room, right? Like, I don't know if he's made Stefan Swanepoel's top 200 list, but he's about to.
He's about to be number 1 or number 2.
He's going to be top 10. Well, it's hard to say that, the question is I don't know, like, where's the building?
All right, so I'm going to take this a little bit further. All right. So do you think that if agents could be members of the MLS without being a member of NAR, do you think that they would be members of both?
Wow, that's a question for the audience. Repeat the question.
If you could be a member individually,
let's do a poll. We would like to hear input from the audience.
If you could be a member of the MLS without being a member of NAR, would you be a member of both? Randy said no. Okay, thank you, Randy, for your participation. Artie is shaking her head no. Okay.
Wait, you would just belong to MLS or just belong to NAR?
Randy's going into the keyboard. And Artie, I can read your lips. MLS, she said.
Yeah.
MLS. Oh, but you guys, come on. They're missing the value of NAR, Jeff. They're missing the value of AAR.
I would
Happy
like to hear
Thursday,
someone-
guys.
Happy
Happy
Thursday,
Thursday.
Nina.
It's me.
Thank you.
So I say yes. I definitely see the benefits of, yes to NAR
You remember both.
right.
Nina, I would too. So I'm with you. One of the reasons why I would be with both is because I
we're-
really like the purchase contract. And that's a value that comes from being a member of NAR.
Well, do you want to ask them to revote now? I thought you were going to say, because where would we host our team meeting on Tuesdays?
No,
Okay, all right.
Right, like MLS, what do we use MLS for? What do we use AAR for? Like, I actually really like the fact that AAR advocates and NAR advocates for national legislative issues that help protect our industry. I'm a
Okay.
fan of that.
Okay.
Like, it's voluntary that we can contribute towards RAPAC, and we do for a reason, right? Like, but I think most agents out there think that it's like they don't do anything.
I think it's the frustration of the lack of governance for the bad actors that are ruining our brand, and the growth of agents that are ruining our brand is what you're hearing by those that don't want to, because the benefits of RAPAC and the benefits of there are lots of benefits that NAR does provide. The challenge is it comes with a lot of they've doubled the competition recently. So there's challenges with the things that they provide. So it's hard to see the good through the bad.
Does anybody know if CoStar on the commercial side provides contracts or provides forms?
I believe they do.
Wow.
You think that might come out, because then you think that if that comes out, that takes NAR's biggest benefit away? Wow, Phil.
I don't know.
No, hold on. For those that are listening, right, I'm stirring up the pot. Wow, you just took a big swing.
Dude, you're going for homes.com. If you're a subscription service with homes.com, so that you can come here and we'll do all the marketing for you, and you're in MLS, like I don't know, Jeff.
Oh,
I'm guessing.
Okay, so then Phil's
Not mine.
okay.
I'm just guessing.
You're just saying one of the possible things would be because they're looking. Well, for those that may not have the reading skills of Phil Sexton, it's because CoStar is the commercial MLS. Okay,
Are they not?
They are, and I actually completely agree with you.
But wait a minute.
I
Can't I list commercial our MLS as well?
Yes, but the big
Ooh, coming soon to
Oh.
a residential industry near you.
So MLS, right? So
I don't know.
homes.com to become well, I mean, here's the thing is the challenge with MLS is its heritage, and like our MLS is pretty dated, right? Like, to me,
Ours is one
interesting.
of the most.
Wow.
Ours is one of the most innovative in the country, though. Like, you look at some of the MLS systems across the country that are small.
Okay, so far
Like, even in Arizona, we're the largest in Arizona, but there's still, I think there's 11 MLSs in Arizona. And when you think of the resources that the largest one has, like, I don't.
Well, the thing
Clearly,
is
I don't
that-
like it
well-
when you pick on the. Like, I volunteer there. We have friends there. I don't think that they're as dated as you think that they are.
okay,
I
good.
think that if you're grading on a bell curve, they're actually ahead of the curve.
You mean Armless?
Yes.
Oh, Armless is compared to I'm talking about I've seen other people's MLSs. I'm just
Got it.
yes,
Okay.
it is bad. So far we're saying
Which
that
Leap
CoStar-
is trying to fix.
Okay, hold on. But CoStar, so at first I said because they bought it because of the advertising platform, and we talked about it being an advertising platform on a website and then on an app. So now they have both. But you're saying that the long-term vision is not just advertisement, it is become the source, to be a competitor on the MLS, which is like nobody wants to have to go to two MLSs. That would be
I don't
Wow.
know, man. I don't know. It's a big move, and who knows? We're gonna find out one day what they're gonna do with it. But right now, it's hard not to think.
well, I mean, I could see it though. Because
I threw you.
yeah.
I threw you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
well, I mean, because it makes sense, though. I mean, if that's any comment out there?
I wanted to, I think the acquisition of homes.com I see it as having to step up your game as an agent. I mean, eventually, I see it as, what is our worth? Could they possibly be getting into the business to allow the everyday consumer to do their own, because right now, think of 20 years ago when, you were,
Right, well,
you were
wow, Nina goes
totally,
even-
no, you're
So hold
Nina,
on, let her finish,
I
let her
love
finish.
Nina. Go ahead.
so yes, and I'm also very, very inquisitive, though. I'm not a mind reader, but I just see it as stepping up your game, because what really is our worth? Years ago, you were totally dependent on somebody that was a realtor, because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have, cell phones, and they had to advertise in papers. Could they be in the market to allow the everyday consumer? Because there's a lot of things that are not rocket science. That's why we have FISBOs, right? They could sell, but I'm saying that when you talk about your voice, Jeff, I think that, having our voice is stepping up our game and expressing our worth. What is our worth? We have lots of agents that,
I agree 100%.
Yeah, Nina, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for the comment.
comment.
She went further than I did.
Yes, I agree with stepping up our game. I agree with, our whole point is to try and make sure that the elite agents and teams have a voice in the industry, because the point is that all this is changing and we have no voice. Why we applied today to be a part of the council of MLS is because we want our voice to be heard. And those that haven't been out to realestateleopard.com, please check it out. But it's hard because their current business practice is not that. What she gave is the reasoning.
Oh, okay. Good. So in the commercial world, you don't have commercial owners that are listing their own properties on
Correct.
CoStar.
Correct.
They still go to a CoStar
member. It is not a direct to consumer approach. And actually, that's why I still am a fan. I think that we can help develop that, because theirs is an advertising approach and it's pay for advertising. So, but great comment, Nina. Welcome. I think it might be time for a commercial, though.
Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, guys. Welcome back. Thank you, studio audience, for hanging in during that commercial. Here we go, Jeff. So when we left on commercial break, we were just addressing the fact that Nina said there might be even greater pressure to get rid of the real estate agent with the CoStar purchase of homes.com.
Is it fair, Nina, to sum it up where you're saying that they may allow owners to directly list their houses?
I'm not sure. You know what? Because I see their competition with Zillow. I definitely see. Even you mentioned his comments towards Zillow. This is definitely going to be.
I'm going to take that. Actually, because you brought Zillow into it, I'm going to address that, because today, for sale by owners can list their houses on websites like Zillow or forsalebyowner.com, or they can pay. There's some business models out there that allow an owner to pay a couple $100s in order to get their property on the MLS. And you know what, Nina, the best news for us agents in the room is that we still have business, despite the fact that it's really simple for owners to list their properties today on an MLS system, right? So I think, obviously we're in the room. We agree. We believe in the agency relationship, in us being able to help guide our clients through one of the largest financial transactions of their life. Especially in this market, to see how complicated some of these escalation clauses with leasebacks and all this jazz right now, it's true value to have an agent that can help somebody that doesn't deal with that on the day-to-day basis, actually hold their hand and guide them through a complicated transaction.
We're an agent. We all agree. Yes.
I know, but I don't want to just diminish. I think part of Nina's comments is the only reason the public wants to use us is because we can get them on the MLS. And clearly that's not true.
Okay. Do you think then that CoStar is going to provide forms for us? Because if they're the MLS, if they really want to compete, I mean, what a good time. Let's just speak of it as if that is the reason. What a good time for them to come in, right? With all the lawsuits that are going on around all of this, because the funny thing is they can offer no compensation. CoStar can let you.
They do that now.
I know, that's what I'm saying, is it why it makes sense for me is that they have a database in commercial, because that's like, I think where the vision is going is they want to have a database in residential. And then I wasn't even thinking of them becoming the MLS. I was just thinking that them, because I still feel is they make their money off of advertising dollars. That's what they are really, really good at.
Oh, wait a minute.
They make, I pay them. I like it because I pay them an exorbitant fee
a month to access their database.
Because they think their data is the best, because they actually work harder. Because the challenge in our industry is the 95% of the agents do less than 10 transactions a year.
Okay.
So therefore, the quality of the data is actually poor. Whereas if the agents were better at it, and they're even in professional, they're in an industry that has a lot less agents. There's less commercial agents, and because they control the data, not the agent, right? So the question is maybe they're the ones that reduce the agent count, because if they become the dominant source, obviously they're going to, they charge a lot of fees.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Like it's interesting because if they buy Black Knights, can you guys, one of you guys look up, like they made an offer to buy Black Knight, or they made an offer to buy one or the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
one of the data sources, because if they buy that as well, they are certainly positioning themselves to be, I just didn't think coming into this call that they were going to be a competitor of our NAR and MLS, because for those that may not know, NAR owns MLS. Of course they know it, but you don't think of it that way, meaning that because I was just thinking that they were coming in.
The good news,
the realtor fees, but then actually it would be memberships. They would.
I think that they are coming in for realtor fees, because at the end of the day, we're not leaving NAR, AAR, and PAR, right? Like there's a lot of things that have to change in order for us to even consider that. Would you agree?
Well, to me,
would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot.
So
a lot.
What that means is, as long as
you will
we're
never
a member,
leave.
Dude, I'm a believer.
Blood, yes.
Of course, it's in my blood.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Okay.
Even though there's people that are like, oh, I hate it. Like, dude, yeah, there's always haters. Did you know that? There's always haters?
I heard.
Yeah. So anyway, like the troller that we had on our last YouTube video.
We were excited.
Yeah.
We had a troller. We had a podcast about that we think the agent count's going to go down, and he tried to troll us. So it was great.
So anyway, with that being said, with no plans of leaving NAR actually has a rule that says if I'm going to be marketing a property, it has to be in the MLS. So Andy can't make exclusive content on CoStar while we're members of NAR, because it has to be in the MLS as well.
Yeah, but you and I both know agents that are thinking about creating teams that have one team that's a real estate agent and one team that are realtors.
Okay.
Because it could exacerbate that.
Maybe. Yeah. If there's
because what you're saying is that the current rules from
NAR
is that if we market a property,
it has to be in the MLS.
It has to be in MLS. Therefore,
otherwise we can be fined $500 a day per listing, which is a lot.
No, but that's why that's why I know that the advertising is the first thing that's going to come out until the goal, because essentially by buying homes.com, they picked up 50,000. Was there 50,000 realtors that advertise on home?
Oh, you mean through IDX?
No,
572 MLSs?
No. It said that because homes.com in the write-up, when you read it, it said that they have relationships already with maybe it was 500,000 realtors that pay them a fee of some sort. I don't know if it's through. Wait a minute.
Did homes.com just start advertising listing agents on their website? Is that what you think this might have? Like, this is where it's going, right? I'm now curious to see if homes.com is against what Andy's comments are and how long it will take homes.com to migrate over to what Andy's vision is. We should pay attention to that.
You don't think that Andy advertises agents?
I'm saying homes.com wasn't advertising. Do you think homes.com was advertising listing agent? I don't know. I don't use homes.com. Do you guys use
Yeah,
homes.com?
they do advertise listing agents.
No, but
Well, then
Andy's not saying that you can't advertise
On top, you can't offer competing services on top of my listing.
on the listing,
Right.
not on the side of my listing.
So his on homes.com today, and when you click that request info button on a listing, you think it goes right to the listing agent?
Well, right here, it says listed by Sasha Ellis.
And that's okay.
I don't know what this does.
The sexy buttons are the ones that matter more than the legal description.
Yeah,
Let's be
that's-
real.
I'm not sure what that, I mean, there is a number here.
I don't know the answer to
No,
that.
but
We should call that number and see
actually,
if
as
the
a
listing
member of
agent picks
CoStar,
up.
though, I believe that agents and brokerages advertise on CoStar, even though they're not. He's saying
They totally do, dude.
No,
There's
but
going to be a
you're just-
sponsored section, no doubt, but it's not going to be overlaid on top of the listing. It's going to be in the feed of all of the
okay.
listings.
I was just pointing out the difference.
Okay.
That's her cell phone number.
That is her cell phone
Yeah.
number. Nice. I wonder
She's
if that's-
paid for that. So there's 500,000 agents that pay like that for that feature.
that they're listing their information.
Right.
They're listing their lead
And that's
Okay.
probably why he bought homes.com.
because it was more aligned to his vision
Right.
than some of the
Because
others.
the technology's already built. Because like
Yeah.
the thing is he's playing catch up. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Right. Like the industry's far along. So he
You
just
mean he
picked-
didn't buy homes.com for $8.99 from GoDaddy in 2003?
98. Yeah. Right. No, but to me, it's mostly
And actually, that number goes to one of these three local experts,
Oh.
not the listing agent.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. So then it doesn't align.
I think that changes soon.
They show the
That's
name,
what I
but the
think.
number goes to someone else.
All right.
Right. But the thing is Andy's collecting the fee up front for that to happen. So that's why he doesn't need to pay. He gets you with the monthly. I mean, I'm paying $450 a month just to have the software. MLS dues are $450 a year.
I get it, dude.
Right? Like
I'm
it's
just saying.
12 times more expensive. So they're profitable. Their model works. He knows that I think he's going to bring the model that he created over to, that is my some of it is. He's going to bring it over and then first started advertising, start to get all the agents. And then he's going to say, why do you, like, I will
ramp up the
provide,
cost. Yeah.
right. I think with your assistance there, we will provide forms and like, cause like
Maybe.
I mean, his goal clearly for the commercial agents, in my opinion only, is that he wanted to be all for them, even though apparently some of the commercials don't love him because of the control, because you get a lot of control when you are that one-stop shop. You do get some control and they just don't like that. But comments, on anything that we talked about, somebody please. Nina, appreciate your comment.
Judy, I think you're unmuted. Are you ready to participate? Nope, she's not unmuted.
She's not connected to the audio.
Oh, no audio. Got it.
Nobody's on mute.
Okay.
All right. You know what? At the 45-minute mark, I say we wrap this up, Jeff. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We're going to be reporting back on it. Actually, I can't wait until next week's episode because I think
Mark is on mute.
Mark.
Okay, Mark.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hey, good to see you. Thank you.
Good. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
So my interpretation of this is that this is just the big boys pushing each other around, and it's a control factor.
Okay. Continue. What? Control what?
Well, they just want to control the market. It becomes it's not the dog wagging the tail, it's the tail wagging the dog. And that's what Zillow's the 10,000-pound gorilla. So how do we infiltrate into their systems and how they can try and manipulate us and us try and manipulate them? Zillow weaseled their way into every MLS in the country, right? And they went behind everybody's back, and now they're there and they opened up this door. Well, now everybody wants to get in the same game, right?
Interesting.
I think
So
that's
you
interesting.
do you think that then they're going to compete with MLS, NAR? Do you think they're just going to advertise? Do you think they're going to go direct to consumer? What is their play?
Well, I think that's to be determined. This is twofold. This is people with very deep pockets that you and I can never touch or compete against. And the only way that, in my eyes, that we can infiltrate or manipulate them is in the street shaking hands, which it's difficult for them to do it because they're doing it from the stars, from the satellite.
Yeah, they're the puppet master. I agree. No, but I mean, that is what our push with realestateleopard.com is, that the only way we can have a voice to compete with these people is for us to band together.
Us being the ones on the street.
The ones on the street. Right. No, that's what you and I agree then, because I mean, I don't know if I'd be as harsh about the way that Zillow got there. I do believe that they said they weren't going to be a broker. They made all the agreements and then they're like, oh, we're going to be a broker. Like maybe they, weren't upfront about where they want to be. But thank you for your comment. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I mean, Jeff, you work with Zillow. I work with Zillow. There's a lot of agents that do, and there's a lot of agents that don't, and that's their choice. So the question is, when all of this, at the end of the day, when all of these things unravel, where are you going to stand? Are you going to participate only in this, or are you going to participate across the board? That's all it's going to do.
The easy answer is whatever's going to benefit our sellers.
That's
right?
exactly
like whatever.
where I was going.
Like, is my house? The question is. It was an interesting question. Phil and I were talking to a very influential industry analyst this week, and the question was.
Let's call him Rob Hahn.
Let's call him Rob Hahn.
Yes.
So we were shooting a podcast with Rob Hahn or a YouTube or whatever it is, and he said, if you didn't advertise your listing on Zillow, Trulia, realtor.com, did he put another one in there?
Redfin.
And Redfin, would your seller still get the same amount of money?
Yeah.
From,
would you still use IDX?
Right.
If those four were excluded.
So we'd like to ask you, would you feel that you're representing your seller well and opt out of IDX if you knew that their listing would not be on Zillow, realtor.com, Redfin, or Trulia?
Well, that's a loaded question, because us being in the business for long periods of time, I mean, I have pocket listings and I want to sell to my investors. So it doesn't even hit the MLS.
Fair.
Okay, but that's okay. So is that I'm going to take Jeff's a little bit deeper, and I'm going to say, okay, Jeff, what if in order to get your listings on those websites, you had to manually add them to those websites instead of them being syndicated through the MLS? Would you go and add your listing to the MLS, to Zillow, to realtor.com, to Redfin, to homes.com manually?
I don't think we would. I think that their user, I think that, I mean, we would have to now. But I mean, the thing is I think that it's why we need a collective audience of agents, right? Like if all of the agents stopped at one time, then it would be okay. If you as a single practitioner chose not to, you're hurting your consumer. But if you could let the consumer know that they're going to be somewhere else, then you can, I mean, to me, what are you replacing it with is where I'm at with that. Like,
right. How are you doing direct to consumer marketing?
Right. How are you gonna,
Jeff, that would never happen because you can't get consumers on the same page. It would never work.
That's not true. I think that's what we're trying to build, is that I think that because my comment to Rob was, if we moved, because the elite agents around the US are the top 5%. They have 50% of the listings. And my thought was that if 50% of the supply said, we're not going to participate over here, the consumer would come find those houses. Because a person cares more about where they're going to live than the site they found it on. Right?
I agree with
how
that.
many times have you worked with a buyer, especially in today's marketplace, where like, you know what, I drove up and I bought the house without you because I had to buy it without you. That happens to all of us, unless you have a buyer broker agreement. But because the industry has taught us up until this point that we don't need a buyer broker agreement, and that will change as of, is it May 1st or May 31st? That no longer services are free. So we're going to have to learn. That was last week's podcast. We got to learn to start doing buyer broker agreements, because the compensation on the buy side is going to change. But I think that the buyer is going to go wherever the house is at the end of the day. I don't think it matters the site.
Yeah, no, it's
Hey, Jeff, you're exactly right. And I have to agree with you. The consumer is the person that's going to drive that.
So I think that we can educate our consumers to go to a different place if we all can band together, is where I'm at. Is that I think that, but independently, because the challenge is the world of real estate is broken up by the brokers, right? Because there's 5,600 different brokers, and everybody
in Arizona,
and everybody acts differently, which is good. And I'm not trying to create anything that's antitrust. I'm just trying to create an environment that is pro consumers, because this all creates extra costs for our sellers. In that, but I think that we can get the people to come to us directly if we, the elite agents, put it all in one place together and we stand together, that we can fight against the big boys.
I mean, it's ultimately how MLS was originally created.
Yes.
So there's no question that could happen.
But this whole industry has been created that I don't know that there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of legacy.
Here's what I think changed is when the MLS was created, the brokerage model was different than it is today. And the brokerage model wasn't 5,000 agent brokers. It was 5 agent brokerages, right? It was smaller. It was more boutique brokerages. And you had all of these boutique brokerages that were closer to the consumer.
Are you naming the changes? So the first piece is the broker model has changed. The second thing is the internet didn't exist.
Fair. Well, yeah, I'm aware. But I think, anyway. No, what I'm saying,
everything has changed.
Is the reason why I believe MLS, one of the reasons, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but because it has changed, I see the opportunity, I believe that it can change again.
Well, I think that, and we'll sum it up with this, is that what has clearly happened and why we want more people to pay attention is because it's going to be decided for the next 20 or 25 years, what happens over the next few years. And I just think we want to have a voice in this discussion.
Right. I'm sorry. What my point was going to be that I lost track on is that when the MLSs came aboard and when the laws were written at the state level and brokers were built a certain way, brokers have changed, and that has allowed teams like the Seabach team to create 100 agents. Like we look like what a broker used to look like. We're a boutique. We look like a boutique brokerage inside of this big thing. However, the regulators, the state, I almost went to Warren G right there, but the state hasn't updated this. The MLS hasn't updated to recognize teams yet. They're still, and that's where I think we should band together is so that we who are closer to the consumers can once again have a voice in regulations at the state level, at the MLS level.
I would argue that the agents, due to the larger brokers, have also lost their voice because, there's
yes, that's us.
Yes,
I agree. Same.
All right. Thank you.
What a wonderful
Happy
day.
Thursday.
Good to see new faces. Always appreciate the participation.
If you thought it was good and you want to leave us a review, we'd love to have more reviews. I don't know if you're listening on Stitcher or you're listening on SoundCloud or watching on the web. We'd love to have any review or any feedback that you'd like to give. We appreciate the time for the discussion. Have a great Thursday. Thank you, guys.
Bye.